Yes, people, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all South India student. How are you? Hope so you are good. I'm also good. So guys, today we are going to revise one small topic name is the equalization levy. Now guys, till last year in the equalization levy, there were lots of provision related to section 165A. There was section 166A also. But guys, now in this particular topic, substantial part of this topic is removed by the Finance Act 2024. So now very simple topic, very small topic, equalization levy, and in your examination it may cover approx 3 to 4 marks, or many time it may cover like 5 to 6 marks also in the examination. Okay, so let's start with this topic, equalization levy. Now guys, in this particular topic, whatever section is given now, section like 163, this section 163 is not an Income Tax Act 1961 section. This section belongs to the Finance Act 2016. So all the section of this topic is from the Finance Act 2016. Now first section is a 163. 163 says that, yes sir, this equalization levy is applicable to whole India. Answer is yes. Equalization levy is applicable to whole India, but except Jammu and Kashmir. Sir, still is this section is not applicable, or this provision of equalization levy is not applicable to Jammu and Kashmir? Answer is yes, it is not applicable to Jammu and Kashmir. Now guys, one more point here, one proviso is given. This proviso says that suppose if any non-resident received any royalty or fees for technical service, and if that royalty or fees for technical service is already taxable under section 9(1), if it is already taxable under section 9(1), then obviously equalization levy is not applicable. Now question is that sir, where equalization levy is applicable? So all people pay attention where equalization levy is applicable. So here we will take one example, and through that example we will understand that where equalization levy is applicable. So guys, if you remember, then we have discussed in our regular batch as well as fast track batch, if any non-resident is doing business in India, means non-resident is having any permanent establishment in India, then only his business income will be taxable in India. Otherwise, there is no income is taxable in India. So if you remember, we have discussed that business in foreign country and business with foreign country. So suppose if non-resident is just exporting the goods to India, then that income is not taxable in India. But suppose non-resident is having a permanent establishment in India and he is having some presence in India, then obviously his income is going to be taxable in India. Now guys, there are various digital company like Facebook, Google and all. They are not having any permanent establishment in India, but they are earning the crores of rupees from the India. So is their income is taxable in India or not? Answer is no. Their income is not taxable in India. Like Google, Facebook and all, they are earning lots of thousands of crore from the advertisement income, but their income is not taxable in India because they don't have the PE in India. So that's why our lawmakers has introduced one concept, equalization levy. Now what equalization levy says that, guys, equalization levy is applicable when any non-resident, example is a Facebook, if that non-resident is not having any permanent establishment in India, if this non-resident is not having any permanent establishment, not having any PE in India, and suppose they are providing any online advertisement service to any person resident in India. So here person resident in India is example is a BB virtual. Or suppose this Facebook, that non-resident not having PE in India, if they are providing the online advertisement service to any other non-resident, that person is having a PE in India. Now example is, suppose for an example, Mercedes-Benz, they are from the Japan, I think, Germany. So Mercedes from Germany, and suppose they are having the permanent establishment in India, and Facebook is providing online advertisement service to the Mercedes-Benz India. In this particular case, equalization levy is applicable. So when equalization levy is applicable, if any non-resident not having the PE in India, example is a Facebook, if they are providing the online advertisement service to any resident person in India, or to any other non-resident person not having a permanent any other non-resident person having a permanent establishment in India, then guys, equalization levy is applicable. Now question is that what is the equalization levy rate? Here equalization levy rate is a 6%, means whatever the online advertisement amount received by the Facebook from the BB virtual or from Mercedes-Benz India, they are required to pay the equalization levy at the rate 6%. Now one more point. Guys, equalization levy is not applicable in two cases. One is the, suppose this BB virtuals or Mercedes-Benz, if they are paying amount for the online advertisement, that is in a year is only up to 1 lakh rupees. So if it is up to 1 lakh rupees per annum, then this section is not applicable or equalization levy is not applicable. Suppose for an example, BB Virtual did the online advertisement on the Facebook, and in a year we are paying only 95,000 to the Facebook, then equalization levy is not applicable. But suppose we are paying the 1,20,000 to Facebook, then equalization levy is applicable, and equalization levy is applicable on total 1,20,000. So on total 1,20,000, 6% equalization levy is applicable. One more point, guys. Suppose this person are utilizing that advertisement service for business and profession purpose, then only equalization levy is applicable. Suppose you have taken any online advertisement service and it is for your personal purpose, then equalization levy is not applicable. Suppose for an example, if you are finding a girl or guy for marriage purpose and you put one advertisement on the Facebook, I need a girl or guy for the marriage purpose, and suppose you spend the 3 lakh rupees on the advertisement on the Facebook, then equalization levy is not applicable because this online advertisement service is not used in the business and profession. So if this people are using for the business and profession, then only equalization levy is applicable. Done. So here, this is the section 165 where it is given that in the online advertisement, equalization levy is applicable at the rate 6%. Now, one more point, guys. Question is that, sir, who will pay the equalization levy to the government? Is Facebook will pay the equalization levy to the government? Means is Mark Zuckerberg, he will pay the equalization levy to the government? Answer is no. Here, a lawmaker says that equalization levy will be paid to the government by the BB Virtual or Mercedes-Benz India. So BB Virtual or Mercedes-Benz India means they are taken the online advertisement service. So whenever they will make the payment to the Facebook, they will deduct the equalization levy at the rate 6% and they will pay to the government. Means BB Virtuals Private Limited or Mercedes-Benz India, they will pay the equalization levy to the government. Now one more point, sir. Question is that what is the due date of payment of equalization levy? Sir, equalization levy has to be paid within the 7th day of the next month. So suppose for an example, equalization levy deducted in the month of the June, then it has to be paid till the 7th of the July. But sir, it is like a TDS. But you know that in the TDS we have discussed that March month TDS has to be deposited till the 30th April. So for equalization levy also is we have the relief till 30th April? Answer is no. If there is a March month TDS, it has to be deposited to the government up to the 7th of the April, means up to 7th April, you have to deposit that equalization levy to the government. Okay, one more point. Sir, suppose if equalization levy is not deposited to the government account within the 7th day of the next month, then from the 8th day, there will be a 1% per month or part of the month interest on that equalization levy under section 170. So 170 of the Finance Act 2016, this section says that there will be an interest at the rate 1% per month or part of the month on the delay payment of the equalization levy. Now guys, there are certain penalties also. First is, suppose if you have not deducted the equalization levy, then lawmaker says that if you have not deducted the equalization levy, then also you have to pay the equalization levy from your pocket. Means you have to pay the equalization levy from your pocket, and 100% of that equalization levy may be penalty may apply on the non-deduction of the equalization levy. So suppose if you have not deducted the equalization levy, then you have to pay the equalization levy from your pocket, and guys, there may be 100% of the penalty on the non-deduction of that equalization levy. One more point, guys, suppose if you have not deposited the equalization levy up to the 7th of the next day, then you know that from the 8th of the next month, there will be the 1% per month or part of the month interest given under section 170, and along with that, guys, there will be a 1,000 rupees for everyday penalty also. There is a 1,000 rupees everyday penalty also, but guys, this penalty cannot be more than the total amount of the equalization levy. So whatever the total amount of the equalization levy, that penalty cannot be more than the 100% of the equalization levy. Now next part is the section 167 of the Finance Act 2016, that is furnishing of a statement or return. Guys, here equalization levy return also required to be filed. But question is that who will file the equalization levy return? Is return will be filed by the Facebook? Answer is no. Guys, equalization levy is paid by the BB Virtual or Mercedes-Benz India to the government, then return will be filed by the BB Virtual or Mercedes-Benz, and this return has to be filed within the 30th June of the next financial year. So suppose online advertisement service is provided in the current year, then till 30th June of the next financial year, that equalization levy return has to be furnished by the payer in the form number 1. Form number 1. Now guys, suppose if return is filed, equalization levy return is filed, but suppose if there is any mistake, then is revised return is possible or not? Answer is yes, it can be revised. Or suppose sir, return is not filed till 30th June of the immediately following financial year, then sir, can we file the belated return? Answer is yes, that belated return or revised return can be filed, and here time limit is a 2 years from the end of the financial year in which service was provided. So online service or online advertisement service is provided in the current year, then guys, this year end will be the 31st March 2025, then 2 year you will count, then 31st March 2027. You got my point or not? Yes. Now guys, suppose sometime if you have not filed the equalization levy return, then assessing officer may issue one notice. Like in the income tax, if you remember, there was one section 142 subsection 1, and under section 142(1), like AO may issue the notice to file the return. So here also guys, if you have not filed the return, then AO may issue the notice to file the equalization levy return. So suppose AO issue the notice, then within the 30 days from the date of receipt of the notice, you have to file the equalization levy return in the form number 1. Now guys, whatever return you have filed, that statement or return will be the process, centralizedly process, that is the processing of return. Now guys, here in process, if there is any arithmetic error, then it will be rectified, and after rectifying the arithmetic error, if there is any demand, then they will issue the demand notice, and if there is a refund, then refund will be issued. Now guys, this intimation has to be generated and sent to assessee within the 1 year from the end of the financial year in which equalization levy return was filed in the form number 1. So suppose return is filed in the return is filed, then from end of that year, within 1 year, that intimation you will receive of the equalization levy. Okay, one more point. Suppose if assessing officer is imposing the penalty, then he will issue the demand notice in the form number 2. So form number 2 is for demand notice of the penalty. So form number 2 is basically demand notice for the penalty. Now next part is related to the rectification of mistake. Now what is the rectification of mistake? Suppose for an example guys, if any intimation is issued, and in intimation, if there is any mistake apparent on record, then rectification is possible or not? Answer is yes, rectification is possible. So either that mistake is suo motu, like it is a suo motu rectified rectification can be done by the income tax authority, or suppose assessee mention that mistake or bring that mistake to the notice of income tax authority, then income tax authority will rectify it. But this rectification has to be done within 1 year from the end of the financial year in which that intimation containing mistake was passed. So suppose intimation passed in the current year, then end of this year, within 1 year, that rectification can be done. Now next part is guys, you know that if you file the late return of the equalization levy, then what will happen? Because return has to be filed within the 30th June of the next year. So within the 30th June of the next year, if you have not filed, then guys, after that, every day there will be a 100 rupees penalty. So after 30th June, or suppose for an example, income tax officer asks you to file the equalization levy return and you have not filed within the 30 days, then after that there will be a 100 rupees penalty per day. But guys, this particular penalty and 171 penalty, whatever we have discussed, this two penalty can be avoided, or I can say that you can get the immunity in the penalty if there is a reasonable cause of the such failure. Now suppose for an example, a penalty order is passed by the income tax authority, and guys, if you are not satisfied with the penalty order, then you can file appeal to the CIT appeal, and this CIT appeal can be filed in the form number 3, and there will be a fees of the 1000 rupees, and you can file within 30 days from the date of the order of the assessing officer. So assessing officer passed the penalty order. When you receive the penalty order, then within 30 days you can file the appeal to the CIT appeal. Filing fees is a 1000 rupees and form is a form number 3. Now all appeal procedure will be same as whatever we have discussed under the Income Tax Act 1961. So in the appeal topic, there is a CIT appeal related to 249 to 251 section. That same section apply here also. Now suppose if you receive the order of the CIT appeal, or income tax department or assessee is not satisfied with the order of CIT appeal, then they can file the appeal to the ITAT. Now ITAT appeal is filed in the form number 4, and guys, there is a fees of 1000 rupees and it can be filed within the 60 days from the date of receipt of the order, of the CIT appeal. Now guys, in the equalization levy, suppose for an example, if you have submitted any false statement, suppose you have given any false statement, in this particular case there can be a jail up to the 3 year, and also there may be the financial fine also. After that guys, there is a one section 1015 of the Income Tax Act 1961. Guys, in case of the Facebook, suppose equalization levy is applicable and equalization levy is already paid by the BB Virtual or Mercedes-Benz India. Then sir, question is that is Facebook is again required to pay the tax to the government? Answer is no. In hands of the Facebook, this income is totally exempted under section 1050 and this income is totally exempted under section 1050. So here Facebook is not required to pay any tax. Now one more point. Guys, here there is a one section 40 clause A subclause 1b and this section is from the PGBP topic. If you remember the PGBP topic, then this section is from the PGBP topic. And you know that this section, there was a similar section in the PGBP, if you remember, section 48 clause A subclause 1. Okay, if any amount is paid to the non-resident or foreign company and if TDS is not deducted in the previous year or TDS deducted in the previous year but not paid to government up to the due date of return filing, then 100% of expenditure will be disallowed. Now in the same line, there is a one section 40 clause A subclause 1b. What this section says that suppose if any online advertisement, and for online advertisement, if any amount is paid to the non-resident not having PE in India for the online advertisement, and if equalization levy is applicable and if you have not deducted the equalization levy in the current previous year, so either equalization levy is not deducted in the current previous year or deducted but not paid to government up to the due date of return filing, then guys 100% of your advertisement expenditure will be disallowed. Then 100% of your advertisement expenditure is going to be disallowed. So what I am saying that if equalization levy is not deducted in the previous year or deducted in the previous year but not paid to government up to the due date of return filing, then 100% of your advertisement expenditure is going to disallowed. But suppose equalization levy is deducted in the subsequent year or deducted in the current previous year but deposited to the government after the due date of return filing, then guys your online advertisement expenditure will be allowed in the year in which that equalization levy is paid to the government. So this is the one small topic related to the equalization levy. Hope so you understood. Yes people, now we are going to revise one more small topic, that name is a BOAR, or I can say that the board for advanced ruling. Now advanced ruling, what is the meaning of the advanced ruling? Advanced ruling means like judgment in advance, or you can say that suppose for an example, if any non-resident wants to do some transaction in India and first he want to know that what will be the taxability on his income in India or what will be the tax treatment on that transaction, and he want judgment in advance. So there is a one authority in India, that authority name is the Board for Advanced Ruling, or I can say that the BOAR, BOR. So BOR is a board for advanced ruling, and this board for advanced ruling, they will give the judgment in the advance. That is called advanced ruling. Why this concept is because you know that Indian tax law is very complex. And no one, like we Indian, we are not able to understand Indian tax law. How non-resident will able to understand Indian tax law? So basically this topic was first started for the non-resident person. So let's start with this topic. First is, sir, who are the applicant for the advanced ruling? Means who can apply for the advanced ruling? So guys, there are 5 applicants. This 5 applicant may apply for the advanced ruling. First is a non-resident person. So if any non-resident person who has already undertaken any transaction or he is going to undertake any transaction, and if he has any question of law or question of fact related to that transaction, then he may request for the advanced ruling. Now second applicant is a resident. If any resident person, but resident person is doing the transaction with the non-resident, and that resident person can apply for advanced ruling on the behalf of the non-resident. Means here, like resident person will apply for the determining the tax liability of the non-resident. Means what will be the taxability of the non-resident. So in simple word, I can say that resident can apply on behalf of the non-resident. Now third is the any resident class of the person, which is the notified by the central government, and here central government has notified that any resident person has undertaken any transaction or going to undertake the transaction, and that transaction value is 100 crore rupees or more. If that transaction value is 100 crore rupees or more, then in that particular case, that resident person may apply for advanced ruling. Now fourth person is any notified class of the person mentioned by the central government, and here guys, one notified person is a public sector undertaking, and here in this particular case, public sector undertaking, that public sector undertaking or public sector company, that case related to that issue is already pending either with the IT authority or the ITED. Then in that particular case, public sector company can apply for advanced ruling. And last is guys, any resident person or non-resident person and that person is going to undertake any transaction in the future, and that person wants to know that is in my case GAR will apply or not. GAR means general anti-avoidance rules, or is my transaction will be treated as the impermissible avoidance arrangement or not. To check that here that resident or non-resident person may apply for the advance ruling. So guys, question is that who will be the applicant for the advance ruling? So there are 5 people, they are treated as applicant for advance ruling. One is the non-resident, second is a resident on behalf of non-resident, third is a notified person, that is the any resident person who entered or going to enter into the transaction value of 100 crore rupees or more. Fourth is any resident person notified by the government, that is the public sector undertaking. And last is the resident or non-resident person who want to know that is in my case GAR will apply or not. Is my transaction will be treated as impermissible avoidance arrangement or not. So that person may apply for the advance ruling. Now guys, try to understand. In case of this 5 applicant, for the first 4 applicant, they may apply for advance ruling in case when they have already undertaken the transaction or they going to undertake the transaction, means for the past transaction or future transaction they apply for advance ruling. But guys, in the last case, in case of that GAR, that impermissible avoidance arrangement, this person can apply for advance ruling only for the future transaction. So where that transaction is proposed to be undertaken by that person, for that purpose he may apply for the advance ruling. Okay, one more point. Now question is that, sir, what is the form for the application? So guys, there are the form, that is form number 34C, 34D, 34DA, 34E, 34EA. 34C is for the non-resident, 34D is for resident on behalf of non-resident and all. So these are the form. And guys, now advance ruling, earlier you know that that advance ruling application was in the paper form and there were 4 copies and all. But now guys, advance ruling application has to be made digitally only, that is online application, and it has to be digitally signed by the person. Now question is that suppose if any application is made for advance ruling and within some time, suppose you want to withdraw that application, so can you withdraw the application or not? Right answer is yes. There is a time limit of 30 days. Within the period of 30 days, you may withdraw the application. If you don't want advance ruling, then from the date of application, within 30 days, you may withdraw the application. Now question is that suppose if you made the application for advance ruling, then question is that sir, what will be the fees for application? So guys, there is a fees. Now what is the fees? So here a lawmaker says that first is the in case of the public sector undertaking, and last is in case of resident, non-resident, is GAR is apply or not. In these 2 cases guys, fees for application is the 10,000 rupees, means 10,000 rupees is a fees for application. Now in case of the first 3 assessee, that fees is depends on the transaction value. If the transaction value is basically up to 100 crore rupees, then fees is a 2 lakh rupees. If transaction value is more than 100 crore up to 300 crore, then fees is a 5 lakh. And if transaction value is a more than 300 crore, then fees is a 10 lakh rupees. So this is the application fees, or you can say that filing fees. And guys, what is the fees in case of the PSU or in case of the that person resident, non-resident GAR case? 10,000 rupees is fees. Now in other cases, if your transaction is up to 100 crore rupees, then 2 lakh rupees fees. Transaction value more than 100 crore up to 300 crore, 5 lakh rupees fees. More than 300 crore, then 10 lakh rupees is a fees. Now one more point. Guys, what process will happen when you made application for advance ruling to the board for advance ruling? Now what board will do? So guys, board will forward one copy of application to the CIT PCIT to check whether your case is pending or not. Because remember guys, if your case is already pending, with the IT authority or ITET or High Court or Supreme Court, then why you are going for advance ruling? Your judgment will be come in that case, then judgment will be given by the income tax authority, ITET, High Court, Supreme Court. Then what is the need of that advance ruling? So in simple word guys, your case should not be pending. Means if you wish to make the application to advance ruling, then your case should not be pending at IT authority level, ITET level, High Court level, Supreme Court level. But guys, there is one exception. In case of the public sector undertaking, if your case is pending with IT authority, then it's okay. If your case is pending with the ITET, then it is okay. If your case is pending with the High Court or Supreme Court, then you cannot make the application to the authority of advance ruling. So in simple word, in case of other assessee, that case should not be pending at any place. But in case of the public sector undertaking, case is pending with IT authority or ITET, then they can make the application to authority of advance ruling, like that board for advance ruling. Guys, if case is pending with the High Court or Supreme Court, then they cannot apply for advance ruling. Now one more point guys, when you made the application to the authority of advance ruling now, then either they may accept your application or they may reject your application. Means when you made the application to the BOAR, that is board for advance ruling करके, ठीक है. Now guys, they may accept or reject your application, but guys there are 4 cases when they will straightforward reject your application. One is in case of any SSC, if case is already pending with the IT authority or ITET or High Court or Supreme Court, then they will reject your application. Or in case of the public sector undertaking, if your case is pending with the High Court or Supreme Court, then they will reject your application. Now third is the, suppose if your question is related to the determination of the fair market value of property, means you are asking the to the board for advance ruling, please find out the fair market value of any property. So is they will find out the fair market value of any property? Answer is no. So if any question is related to determination of fair market value of any property now, then they will reject your application. And guys, last is, suppose if your transaction is prima facie for the avoidance of the tax, means your transaction is for the prima facie designed for the avoidance of the tax now, in that particular case they will reject your application. They will reject your application. But guys, there are 2 exceptional cases. One is the in case of the public sector company, and one is the that resident or non-resident person is GAR is apply or not. In these 2 cases, even your transaction for the prima facie for the avoidance of the taxes, then also they are not going to reject your application. So in these 2 cases, even your transaction is prima facie for the avoidance of the tax now, then also they will not reject your application. They are going to accept your application. Okay, one more point. Guys, if application is admitted, then that board for advance ruling, they will give you the judgment. Now judgment has to be given within 6 months from the date of receipt of the application. So when they receive the application within 6 months, they are going to give the judgment. Okay. Now one more point, when they will give the judgment now, then that judgment copy, one copy they will forward to the SSC and another copy they will forward to the CIT, PCIT, or in simple word I can say that the department. Now guys, if you remember here, in case of public sector undertaking, even if case is pending with the IT authority or ITET, then you can make the application to the authority like board for advance ruling. Now sir, suppose for an example, for the one public sector company, understand example is suppose Coal India. So for Coal India, one case was pending with the ITET, then also can we apply for authority of advance ruling? Answer is yes. Now suppose you are going for the advance ruling. If you are going for advance ruling, then sir, what they will do? So they will stop their working and they will wait for the judgment of the advance ruling. Means here, like if case is pending with the ITET or IT authority, in case of public sector undertaking, and you apply for the advance ruling, then guys, this people will wait for the judgment of the board of advance ruling, and after that judgment only they will give their judgment. You got my point or not? Yes. Now one more point guys. Now this board for advance ruling function is totally faceless, and there is a one faceless scheme, that is the e-advance ruling scheme, and everything will be the faceless. You will not be able to know that who is the judges and all. So there will be a faceless procedure. Now next part. Next point says that suppose for an example you took the advance ruling, but after some time if board for advance ruling, if they realize that, or suppose income tax department brings that to the notice of the board for advance ruling, okay, you have taken the advance ruling due to the fraud, means you did the fraud and you took the advance ruling by the fraud or misrepresentation of fact. So suppose if you took the advance ruling by fraud or misrepresentation of fact, in this case that board for advance ruling having the power that they may declare your advance ruling as void ab initio. So they may declare the advance ruling as void ab initio. Void ab initio means invalid from the starting point only. Now next part is, sir, who will be the judges in the board for advance ruling? So here lawmaker says that that board will constituted by the central government. And this central government will constitute the board, and guys, in the every board there will be a 2 judges. In every board there will be a 2 member or 2 judges, and both members should be the not below the rank of the CCIT. Means it should be below the, it should not be below the rank of the CCIT, means it should be higher the rank CCIT equivalent or higher the rank of the CCIT. CCIT means Chief Commissioner of Income Tax. Now guys, suppose for an example, in your case, board for advance ruling has given the judgment, and that time suppose judgment is given by the one judge, because one judge was on the leave. Now what happened? On the basis of that, can you say that our advance ruling judgment is invalid? Answer is no, you cannot do that. So guys, for an example here, this says that suppose if there was a vacancy and all, then it will not invalidate the proceeding. Means whatever the proceeding for the of the board for advance ruling, that will be treated as valid proceeding only. Now guys, Suppose board for advanced ruling has given the judgment, and from that judgment, if you are not satisfied or a department is not satisfied, so either you are not satisfied or department is not satisfied, then you can apply to the high court, means you can appeal to the high court level. Now guys, what is the time limit to apply to the high court? So time limit is a 60 days from the date of communication of the ruling. So when you receive the judgment of the advance ruling now, then within 60 days you have to apply to the high court, or department will apply to the high court. But guys, if high court satisfied now, then high court can give the 30 additional days also. So suppose after 60 days, after like 70 days, you realize that you should apply to the high court, then you can apply after 60 days also, and here 30 days time will be given by the high court. Only if the high court is satisfied, then they may give you further the 30 days time limit to file the appeal to the high court. Now guys, E-Advanced Ruling Scheme 2022, this E-Advanced Ruling Scheme 2022 is not applicable in your examination, but guys, there are certain 3-4 points that is covered by the ICI in their module. So I have also covered this point here. First is, suppose guys, when you applied for the advanced ruling, you have filled the form, and in form you have disclosed the facts. But after some time, suppose you realize that you want to disclose the additional facts. So can you disclose the additional fact or not? Answer is yes, guys. Here you can disclose the additional fact, but guys, that board will permit only, there is a discretionary power. So there is a discretionary power, means they have the discretionary power. If they wish to admit that additional fact, then they will consider the additional fact also. Next is a question contained in the application. Guys, suppose for an example, obviously one question you already put in the application, but after some time, for an example, after some time, if you want to ask further question, then during the proceeding, can you put the another question or not? Answer is yes. But there is also a discretionary power. If they wish and they think that it is necessary, then they will consider the additional question also. Now next part is related to the rectification of the mistake. Suppose sir, in the advance ruling order, in judgment, if there is any mistake, and that mistake is apparent on record. Apparent on record means there is no two plausible views are possible. So in simple word, there is not disputable mistake, and there is a mistake, and this mistake is either suo moto, realized by the board for advanced ruling, or it is bring to the notice of the board for advanced ruling by SSC or income tax authority. Then they can do the rectification. Now one more point, guys, that is the last point. Suppose sir, you mentioned that in the board for advanced ruling there are 2 judges, but suppose on any particular point there is a dispute, or you can say that there is a difference in the opinion, then what will happen? One judge says that this expenditure should be allowed, this another judge say that no, this expenditure should not be allowed, then what will happen? So guys, in this particular case, that particular point will be referred to the PCCIT, that is Principal Chief Commissioner of Income Tax, International Taxation, and this person will refer this matter to any independent member, any other member, means any member of the board for advanced ruling, that other board for advanced ruling, and guys, that person, that member will give the judgment now, and there will be a majority judgment obviously, because there were 2 members. Now in both the member there is a dispute, then what will happen? That case is referred to the PCCIT, International Taxation. Now PCCIT will nominate 1 member from any other board, and whatever that member will give the judgment now, on the basis of that judgment will be pronounced by the board for advanced ruling. You got my point or not? Yes. So this is one small topic, that is the BOAR, and BOAR full form is the board for advanced ruling. You got my point or not? Yes. So today we have revised 2 topics. One is the advanced ruling and one is the equalization levy.